Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Moving on to items for consideration. Seeing none, we can move on to matters from Chair, Commissioners, and Director. Does anyone have anything to report or add? I did quickly want to mention something that was brought to my attention during review yesterday. The 2017 HUD budget was $1 million higher, so that was very exciting. And also with that, we'll be able to help 60 additional families. So that is promising and exciting for those families for sure. Yay. And at that, we can adjourn. The next regular Housing Authority meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017 at 6:30 here at the Community Meeting Center.
Thank you. We'll convene the City Council meeting. Can I ask everyone to stand, and can I ask Kingsley Okereke to lead us in an invocation, and then Councilmember Beard to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, Heavenly Father, be with us this evening as we gather to consider items that are important to the city of Garden Grove. Purify our intentions, strengthen our purpose, and grant that in serving our community, we may serve you. Amen.
Please face the flag, right hand over your heart. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the nation. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's here from Cal State Long Beach? By show of hands. Just one? Seriously? I thought we had like a whole bunch of people here from Cal State Long Beach. Welcome, my friend. I thought it was like everybody was there from Cal State Long Beach. Okay. Thanks for joining us. We'll go to presentations. We have several community spotlights. We have a couple community spotlights and a couple other presentations. Starting with 1A.
Starting with 1A, this community spotlight is recognition of Christina Contreras, Daniel Gomez, and Angela Mendoza for saving a classmate from drowning, and Mr. Okereke is here to read the spotlight tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, Chief Schultz.
Mayor and council members, I'm Tom Schultz, your fire chief, and it's a pleasure to be here before you today to honor these 3 students. And so I'd like to read, the Garden Grove City Council would like to recognize 3 Santiago High School students who recently came to the aid of a classmate from drowning. Would Christina Contreras please stand? Daniel Gomez, please stand. And Angela Mendoza, please stand if you're here. Great, if you come on up, you can if you like. On April 28th, Christopher Tran, a high-functioning student with autism, mistakenly jumped into the deep end of the pool at the high school. Daniel and Angelo, who were swimming, saw Chris jump into the pool, but they thought he was initially just playing around and holding his breath. When Chris did not come up for air, they got worried. Angelo swam to the bottom of the pool and saw Chris unconscious. Angelo grabbed Chris and, with Daniel's help, pulled him up. When they got to the top, Christina jumped into the pool and helped them lift Chris out of the pool. When the Garden Grove Fire Department paramedics arrived, Chris was unresponsive. They were able to resuscitate him and transport him to the hospital, where he made a full recovery. On May 22nd, I had the honor to honor Christina, Daniel, and Angelo with what we call the Chief's Coin, a merit for selfless act. The students' quick action prevented what could have been a tragedy, and they helped save a life. After the recognition, Christopher Tran had an opportunity to thank the 3 classmates for saving his life, and it was a very nice event. At this time, the mayor and the city council would like to present Christina Contreras, Daniel Gomez, and Angela Mendoza with a certificate and a crystal memento in recognition of their life-saving event. These are some outstanding students. And they're very gracious as well. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you. There you go. Thanks, guys. Can we do that?
3, 2, and 1. I'm gonna get one more. All right, thank you.
You guys are. So thank you guys for coming today and for your wonderful act of what you did over there at that school. That was amazing. We'll move on to item 1B. Whoops.
Thank you. Item 1B is a community spotlight in recognition of Master Officer Charles Starnes, Officer Cindy Orozco, Officer Sean Gleason, Officer Steve Eslow, and Officer Aldo Guacara of the Garden Grove Police Department for going above and beyond the call of duty to save a man's life. And Captain DeRay is here to give the community spotlight.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The Garden Grove City Council is pleased to recognize Corporal Charles Starnes, Officer Steve Eslow, Officer Sean Gleason, Officer Aldo Guareca, and Officer Cindy Orozco for their efforts to save a man's life. On October 9th, 2016, Garden Grove police officers were dispatched to an address where an intoxicated male was involved in a domestic dispute with his wife. The officers were advised that the husband locked himself inside a bedroom and threatened to commit suicide. Arriving at the scene, officers found the wife and their 2 young daughters attempting to gain access into the locked bedroom. The husband had pushed a heavy dresser against the door to keep the family from gaining access. The family was asked to wait in the living room as the officers moved the dresser. The husband was found non-responsive, tied to a curtain rod by a necktie around his neck. The officers immediately took action and began life-saving efforts. Officer Gleason cut the necktie from the curtain rod and from the husband's neck. Officer Eslow attempted to locate a pulse but was unsuccessful. So he directed officers to begin CPR. Officer Orozco conducted chest compressions while Corporal Starnes initiated rescue breathing. During this time, the family members attempted to return to the bedroom. Officer Guareca went to the living room to console the family and to keep them from interfering with the officers. Officer Guareca tried to divert their attention by asking questions. After 2 minutes of CPR, Officer Eslow felt a faint pulse, and the husband began gasping for air. The officers monitored the husband as his pulse and his breathing rate increased. Garden Grove fire paramedics arrived shortly after and relieved the officers. A couple of weeks later, Corporal Starnes learned from the family that the husband made a full recovery and had been released from the hospital. If it had not been for the life-saving efforts of these officers, the victim would have succumbed to his suicide attempt. The officers involved relied on their training without any hesitation and calmly worked through together as a team. Their valiant actions hold true to the finest traditions and standards of the Garden Grove Police Department. At this time, the mayor and city council would like to present Corporal Charles Starnes, Officer Steve Eslow, Officer Sean Gleason, Officer Aldo Guareca, and Officer Cindy Orozco with mementos of recognition. Additionally, the Garden Grove Police Department would like to present the officers with the Garden Grove Police Department's Life Saving Award. Congratulations.
guys want to stand there, not go behind?
All right, couple shots. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
One C, presentation of the Medal of Merit to Master Officer Brian Hatfield.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Master Officer Brian Hatfield began his career as a Garden Grove police officer in May of 2008. Brian worked hard as a patrol officer carrying out his police duties, but also took an interest in our community's youth through the Explorer program. As part of Brian's triathlon fitness routine, he often rode his bicycle to and from work. One evening, while biking home, Brian was struck by 2 separate cars, leaving him seriously injured. This terrible incident was a turning point in Brian's life and career. During his lengthy recovery, Brian volunteered at his church. When he was well enough to walk with a cane, he joined a church group that assisted the homeless community. Working with the homeless as a volunteer gave him a very different perspective from his usual interaction as a police officer. He wasn't there to issue a citation or arrest them for a public nuisance crime. He was there to understand them and help them with obtaining food and services. He knew that this was also his responsibility as a police officer, to help people in need. Brian had an idea to form a specially trained team of police officers to serve the homeless segment of our community. These officers also would be trained in recognizing and interacting with people that suffer from mental illness. Brian was instrumental in developing the mission and goals and developing a police department policy for this newly formed special resource team known as the SRT. He collaborated with neighboring law enforcement agencies and other state and local nonprofit and faith organizations to form a network of services that are designed to provide resources that will be a long-term solution to homelessness. For the last 2 years, Brian has spearheaded a number of homeless outreach events and has many success stories on how he made a positive impact on homeless families and individuals. He and members of the SRT have partnered with the Orange County Healthcare Agency to make regular checks on known homeless people that suffer from mental illness. Since the formation of the SRT in 2016, the city has seen a significant reduction in homelessness in key areas of the community. Brian's efforts with the SRT are above and beyond his assigned job duties. His unique creativity and dedicated efforts have and will continue to have a positive impact on this growing community. He was recently honored by the California Association of Cities, Orange County, for developing an innovative program that improves public safety and sets an example for other cities. For these reasons, Master Officer Brian Hatfield is deserving of the Garden Grove Police Department Medal of Merit.
Couple shots. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
So honored to have you serve us, Beth. Thanks for everything you do. Okay, we have one more presentation, item 1D, and this is a update on 4th of July activity from our public safety officials.
Well, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council again. I'm here to provide you with a snapshot after-action report to our 4th of July deployment. The police department deployed 36 additional personnel strictly to handle fireworks-related incidents. 28 of those were sworn officers, 2 sergeants, and a commander. 5 civilians were also deployed, 4 being community service officers and 1 being a dispatcher. And 11 officers were ordered in to work the holiday. We worked in partnership with the Office of Community Relations and began our media campaign a month early to educate the public about illegal fireworks and the consequences associated with possessing them. We also, this year, implemented the Declaration of Evidentiary Intent, which allowed police officers to issue administrative citations to offenders that were caught on video captured by citizens where the officer was not present. This new procedure was actually advertised on both the police and fire department website and also on the Neighborhood Watch and Neighborhood Association social media pages. And we actually did not have one of those events that happened over the holiday. 20 block party permits were issued. 17 were located in Beat 11, which is in the west side of our city. Fireworks complaints began in the last week of June, averaging about 12 calls per day. And then we saw a steady increase of calls for service. July 3rd, we were up to 47 calls for service per day on fireworks-related calls. On the 4th of July, the busiest calls for service time was between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., which is consistent with years past. And this year, calls for service increased only by 2%. We went from 146 in the prior year to 156 this year. Officers initiated 52 calls for service, which is very similar to last year as well. These are self-initiated stops and investigations. Citations increased 23%, the numbers. Last year, we were at 47, this year 58. And of those citations, 35 of those were Garden Grove residents. Personnel costs actually went down this year. We went from 18,127 last year, 18,127 last year, to 16,999. During the holiday, the police department and fire department responded to a vehicle collision in the area of Chapman and Valley View. This was an injury vehicle collision. The collision was a single vehicle collision involving an off-road vehicle similar to a golf cart. The vehicle actually rolled on the street and injured several teenage passengers, and the driver was an adult that was arrested for DUI. Also noted were several off-road vehicles, including small motorcycles, scooters, driving on city residential streets, and many of these were in the areas of the block parties. Many of these vehicles were operating with no lights, and the passengers had no helmets, and the operators. Officers that were working the enforcement area in those areas were working in plain cars, and they were not equipped to make vehicle stops. And there were also several residential streets that we noticed that were blocked with vehicles and other barricades that would have prevented emergency vehicle access. So next year, as part of our campaign, is going to be an education campaign and enforcement strategy. Will include also these public safety concerns that we saw this year. So this concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay. Thank you.
Well, Mayor and Council, again, Tom Schultz, your fire chief. I'm just going to add a little bit to that from the fire department perspective and let you know what took place on the 4th of July. I'm very happy to report that during the period of the 4th of July, the 3 days leading up to the 4th and that, there was no fires or injuries directly related to the use of legal or illegal fireworks. We believe our media campaign, our education efforts are starting to pay off in the sense that it is definitely reducing some of the injuries and fires we've had in the past. Our arson team was very active in the month leading up to the 4th of July, and were able to intercept a lot of illegal fireworks before they were able to get on the streets by working through leads and preventing the sale of them themselves. In addition, during this 4th of July, our fire prevention team, working with the building official, were able to streamline the process in which we inspect firework booths. And now we have a more efficient process in which we're using, and we're able to serve the nonprofits a little bit better, but also assure a little higher level of safety as well. During the 4th of July itself, we did put some additional staffing on, additional firefighters on the west side, as well as one additional firefighter in the central part of town. This surge type of staffing allows us to have a little greater impact when a fire starts, a small fire, so that we can put it out quickly without having it have a drain on other resources, so that they're available for other responses as well. We will continue to do our efforts that we've done this year and enhance them to reduce the illegal fireworks in the community. But as you know, on the 4th of July, there is a great deal of it. All illegal fireworks that were confiscated were disposed of by the Orange County Bomb Squad. Some statistics. Between the 1st of July and the 5th of July, we went on 185 responses. That's an increase of 31% of our normal call volume. On the 4th of July itself, we went on 54 responses on the day itself, which is an increase of 84% that we would normally do on a normal day. We were the second busiest city in Orange County on that day, only behind Newport Beach. We had 12 fires, but none of them were major or structure fires. We had 36 medical aids, 5 other calls. Once again, there was no direct injuries related to fireworks. We confiscated 300 pounds of illegal fireworks. That's a lot of fireworks, but compared to the 4,000 pounds countywide, it was a small number. But in the past, we've had over 1,000 pounds, so we're moving in the right direction for sure. And as you heard, there was 58 citations for $1,000 issued. I would like to take a minute and talk about the block party issue, though. And we did find this year, both fire and police found that there were not only our permitted block parties, but also several spontaneous block parties. And one of the main concerns we have is it limits our access on the streets for fire access. The permit process is a pretty comprehensive process we have in town. The process is done through community services. Applications are available April through May. They have to submit their final application 30 days before the 4th. They limit those applications to about 3 to 4 block parties per fire district. So that gives you kind of that 2021 number. And the police and fire department are notified of those. The challenge we're having is that we issue the permit, we issue them a set of conditions in which they're supposed to exercise during that day, but we are having some issues with those rules not being followed. Some recommendations that I'd like to present for a possible policy decision in the future is that perhaps these permits, we should have some sort of inspection that takes place the morning of the 4th to ensure that we have compliance. That may require maybe the permit fee being revisited as far as the cost to recover the cost of that. And in addition, perhaps associate some sort of deposit with a permit so that if there was a violation found later on during the day, that they could forfeit that deposit on that permit. And that may encourage some of the behaviors that took place from taking place if there was something to be lost. Once again, we believe, as the police department does, education is the key here. But generally, when you start having a lot of this spontaneous activity with the off-road vehicles and stuff like that, not only will we have a firework problem, but now we'll potentially have future life safety issues with accidents and unintended consequences of that. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, we will move on to oral communications. I have a handful of cards, starting with Mona Lisa Guerre.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Mona Lisa Aguirre. I am a Garden Grove resident, but I live in a little town or a little area called Pleasantville, West Garden Grove. It's between Beach and Western Avenue. So we are Garden Grove residents, but we're serviced by Stanton, Orange County Sheriffs. And we're having an issue with the Garden Grove business, GKN Aerospace. They're operating 24 hours now, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the noise of a power washer, but that's what we have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so it's kind of difficult to sleep with the windows open right now, so we're hoping that maybe you can help us. I have emailed their corporate. I have emailed and called code enforcement for Stanton. Of course, it's been a back and forth situation of whose jurisdiction it is. So it's a Garden Grove business, and that's why I'm here. So
Thanks
Help.
for coming, and we'll look into it.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen Blackman.
Hello there, Mayor and Council. Tonight I wanted to talk to, I'm Maureen Blackman. Tonight I wanted to talk to you, invite Mayor, City Council, staff, and the community to National Night Out, which is next Tuesday, August the 1st, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. The event is being put on by the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, the Downtown Business Association, and the Garden Grove Police Department. For those of you that don't know, the National Night Out is a national event that's seeming to gain a lot of popularity. It goes from either a backyard barbecue all the way up to a full-blown festival. And on Wednesday, I'll let you decide what our event was. Our location is on the Village Green at the First Baptist Church in the parking lot there. Andrea Perez actually has been working with Chris Bacoris and Cindy Nagamatsu, and they have 27 community partners. We're going to have games, a coloring station, musical hula hoops. We have 2 bikes with helmets that will be raffled off, and that will be fitted by the Garden Grove Police Department. There will be free hot dogs provided by, while I mutilate his name, Navadeep Bhatsi, the owner-operator of the 7-Eleven. And we are looking forward to having the Garden Grove Fire Department truck, Garden Grove Animal Control, a trash truck, which is always a big hit, our K-9 unit. I think we're having Officer McGruff as well. Special guests will be Garden Grove Missy Mendoza, Miss Garden Grove, and an outstanding teen, Hannah Archer. So we ask again that you would please come out and support the Garden Grove Police Department, August the 1st from 5:30 until 8. And you can visit our Facebook page, Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, for further details. Thank you.
Wait, aren't you that famous person I just saw in the newspaper?
My publicist did a very good job today. Go, Jim. Check's in the mail.
Josh McIntosh.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I wanted to talk about a couple things tonight. First off, I wanted to also say congratulations to Officer Hatfield and our entire force for all their recent duties, or their constant duties, and especially the 1990 cold case that was recently solved and shared on the internet for Behind the Badge. Congratulations to Christina Contreras, Daniel Gomez, and Angelo Mendoza. Go Cavaliers. And also, I wanted to throw out a quick thank you to LFA Productions, and looking forward to the upcoming High and Mighty concert coming up, as well as several other things that are coming up at our Garden Amphitheater. Now on to some more pressing issues. Okay, we just had the kind of 2 weeks, 3 weeks cooling off period since 4th of July. We just heard some stats on that, and I'm one of the residents that, feels like they live in a war zone each year, and it's just a little bit crazy with the illegal fireworks that we have, the number of them, the pyromaniacs that we have around the city. I sent a letter to each of you about my idea of possibly hiring in drones to fly over the city, and I'd like, some kind of discussion on that if possible. Just explore the possibilities with our legal staff, with our fire department, police department, and see about possibly fining people per household where these incidents are occurring. It's too easy for the cockroaches to run and hide back in their nest, when they see an officer coming. Now I want to also talk about agenda item 6A, the red flex cameras. I'm not a big fan of these cameras, and I'm speaking from someone who's been on the wrong side of the photo flash. The incident I was involved in was several years ago. It was actually in the city of Santa Ana. I was driving at a safe speed with a safe distance in front of me near 17th and Bristol. A vehicle a few car lengths ahead of me stopped to pull into, or didn't stop, but pulled into a business just after the intersection, making all the vehicles behind it, directly in front of me, slam on their brakes. In order to not be in an incident, rear-end somebody, or be rear-ended by the person following me, I had to slow down and be caught in the middle of a traffic camera. This company, Redflex, is ruthless. They're going to charge you $500, jack up your insurance rates, and cause a lot of burden on someone who, I didn't intend to break the law, I wasn't trying to race a light. I got stuck, and by doing the right thing and preventing an accident, I got dinged with a $500 ticket. Because of that, I had to eat top ramen for a month, and my insurance rates went up, and it was tough to make my mortgage payment. So these cameras, while they do, I'm sure, quite a bit of good in reducing the craziness that's on our streets, they're also very ruthless. It's not always a black and white situation, yet with these cameras, it seems to be. I even took this to court and lost my case. Because I took it to court, I wasn't allowed to do traffic school. So it just compiles the money that was spent on that ticket. I could have been buying in Garden Grove. It probably would have been spent on Main Street. So personally, I don't like these. I know we're going to be talking about them tonight, 6A. I recognize that we're actually reducing our price, with the staff report. But this company, a quick Google search will turn up that they've been pretty shady. They've done some unethical things. I don't really think they're a company that we should be doing business with. So just my 2 cents, stealing from Maureen. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Verla Lambert.
I'm Verla Lambert. I've been a resident here in Garden Grove for 60 years. And I did write at one time Verla's Views, and here this last week I decided to sit down and compose another note. So Verla's Views. The residence is what makes a city. The residence is what elects the mayor and council to represent the city, keeping them safe and prosperous. I just want to say it was scary when I heard about apartments and condos and hotels that are planned for Lewis Street and Partridge along Garden Grove Boulevard and the AKA Museum on Harbor. Also, the high-rise going up at the 22 freeway and Valley View. I know that this council inherited the Brookhurst Triangle and Site C. And then again, where was my representative in my district when my neighborhood here lately just lost a healthy tree, and my neighbors have not seen this person, and some of them don't even know their name. That's why I voted for districts, is so I wouldn't have to come and confront the council. I didn't want to spend my golden years up here conversing all these problems. And I just feel like it's time for the representative to come and see the rest of her district. I like people, but I don't know how you plan on keeping them safe. Although I just found out how you're going to keep them safe. We have this wonderful police department, which we've always had. We've always had a police department that did more with less. But I do feel that it would be better to take care of what we have now. We're working under our allotted requirement for police and residents. These guys do wonderful work, but if we have more people coming in, we have to have more protection also. we all need to have to work together to keep Garden Grove great before we invite anybody else in. I know you're all very knowledgeable of what you're doing. We just need to get the priorities in order and state and keep them safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Verla. Forgive me if I get the name wrong. Joe Laricchia? How'd I do on that? Good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Joe Laricchia. Came here and spoke in March about a problem we're having. I live on Rickey over by the convention center. We have a big problem of short-term rentals. When I came in March, we had 2. One is my neighbor. Now we have 3, possibly a 4th being sold right now. The person that's next door to me just bought it 2 months ago. They bought it from somebody else. He bought it from his friend. He approached me and asked me how I liked it. I told him, I don't. None of the neighbors do. And he said, well, the city council can't tell me what to do. Garden Grove can't tell me what to do in my own house. I've been working with Stephanie for the last 5 months. She's been great. We've been texting, emailing back and forth, but I don't know where we're at. I went to city council or to the city hall office about 2 years ago. And the woman I spoke to, I asked her what the code was. She said that the code was you couldn't rent for less than 30 days. But she said, and this is a quote from her, but I wouldn't push it because city council won't do anything about it. And even one of the prospective buyers of the home next to me, she backed out of it because she asked me what I felt of it, told her didn't like it, they don't like it, they don't like it. I was pointing to all the neighbors. And she says, well, I have a lot of friends that have short-term rentals in Garden Grove and they don't do anything about it. So I hear that from people who are coming in and it's crazy. The person who bought next door to me 2 months ago now, I have a list here. Since June 12th through tonight, the house has been empty twice. Most people are there 2 and 3 days. I have found beer cans in my backyard, trash in my driveway. I mean, it's getting to the point, I have a swimming pool. I have a big 6-foot fence around the pool, but my wife and I are afraid to go away because I don't know, there's a party, a bunch of drunk people come and jump in the pool. I mean, it's like, do we sue the city over, we're losing our quality of life? You know, I mean, I don't know. We really need to do something about it. Like I said, there's two homes just sold down the street within the last 2 weeks. One of them is already a short-term rental. The other one I know is going to be. You know, and you talk to the real estate people and they say, oh, no, these people are going to live in it. Well, they don't care because it's commission, so they're selling their house. So I don't know. I've even spoken to Ralph Hernandez with the code enforcement, and he's been really good about it too. And the problem is, he says, I go there during the day and there's nobody home. Well, the people who rent, they're gone. They're at Disneyland, they're at SeaWorld, they're in San Diego, Hollywood, you know, they're all over. They're back at night though, and that's when the problem is. There haven't been any big problems yet, and that's what we're afraid of, all the neighbors are afraid of. So, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, is that the rule, 30 days? You know, so.
We do have a ban on short-term rentals.
Yeah, but like I said, but it doesn't seem to be like anything's really happening with it, so.
Yeah.
We need, when the people who are buying, they're coming quotes out of their mouth as well, Garden Grove doesn't do anything about it, you know, so it's tough, it's really tough. I mean, you guys aren't getting bed tax. You know, I mean, if they want a hotel, Harbor and Cattell is full of hotels, buy one over there. You know, I mean, I bought 30 years ago. If I wanted to live on a hotel street, I would have bought on Harbor Boulevard or Cattell, so. But anyway, I'm just hoping there's something that you guys can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So anything you could do, I'd appreciate. And like I said, I've been in great communication with Stephanie. She's been great.
Yep.
But she's one.
Yeah.
I think we need the whole city to get
Yeah.
involved with it, the whole council.
Thanks for coming out. Sorry
Okay.
you had to come out again.
That's
I'll
okay.
personally get involved in this with Stephanie, and we'll
Great.
have
Thank you very
discussion
much.
with
I
staff and
appreciate
just
you
try and get
guys
an
listening
update
to
on
me.
where we're at and what we can
Okay,
do.
thanks.
Thanks. Charles Mitchell.
Explosions in front of them, explosions to the right of them, explosions to the left of them. There is not a reason why. It was only the 4th of July. I live in the southwest corner of this city. short block south of where I live and a short block west of where I live is the city of Westminster. When I walked out in front of my house on the evening of July 4th, there were fireworks going off in the sky in every direction I looked. So who am I going to call? Westminster? Garden Grove? There was no way I could tell where they were coming from, but I suspect there's one area where people live in a complex that has locked gates. So there's no way public safety officials can get to where the people are that are setting off the fireworks in time to catch them at it. I sat in my patio and I had 3 terrified cats in my lap. And every time one of those rockets went off, the claws came out. Fortunately, I had a couple of towels on my lap to protect me. But still, what it does to our pets is something horrible. They get so terrified, they run away from home. Some of them are never recovered. But there may be a solution in the future that might curb some of this. It's been suggested that maybe the city should get drones and send drones around to spot these illegal fireworks. Well, it is against the law to point a laser at a manned aircraft. But I don't think there's any law against pointing a laser at a drone. And what is a drone? It's just a small flying object with a camera. And when you point a laser into the lens of a camera, what does it do? It blocks that camera from viewing anything. So that might be something that people will try to do if we do try to put drones out. Sometimes smart people do dumb things. If you want proof of that, just go on the internet and see some of the things that people do. But it doesn't take a military genius. If you're going to shoot off illegal fireworks, to post lookouts in the areas that have access to where you're going to be, and they'll have a cell phone, they'll let you know if anybody's coming and whether it's clear. So that's one of the things that we can't do anything about, is keeping people from posting those lookouts. Recently, a lot of places in California have developed sanctuary cities. These are to protect the illegal aliens and the gangsters and murderers who prey on them from law enforcement. Well, maybe we should borrow from that principle. Maybe something like amnesty on the 4th of July, and if we can find an open area, maybe a park, a closed school ground, some large open area, and for one night, allow people to come and set off their rockets and other illegal fireworks. No questions asked. They come in, they pay a small fee, they take a number. We have police and fire personnel there and a specialist in pyrotechnics, and let them shoot off all of their fireworks in a controlled area, and maybe we can cut down on all of that goes on in the rest of the city. It's just a thought. But it just occurs to me that there's going to be people doing this no matter what, and we're going to have to find some solution that works for everyone and keeps everyone safe. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes oral communications. We'll move on to written communications. We have several items. Item 3A, and this is a request for fee waiver on Atlantis Park for OC Autism's Christmas event.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Before you, you have a letter from OC Autism requesting a co-sponsorship to waive the non-resident, nonprofit exclusive use of their December Christmas event at Atlantis Play Center. OC Autism is a Westminster-based, tax-exempt nonprofit that provides assistance to children and adults with disabilities, both locally and globally. In 2016, the city co-sponsored the OC Autism Christmas event by waiving the non-resident, nonprofit exclusive use fee for Atlantis Play Center. For OC Autism's Breakfast with Santa, they invite 500 families with autism and special needs to enjoy a continental breakfast, pictures with Santa, and toy giveaway, and a lot more. The cost to the co-sponsorship for the 2017 Christmas event for the exclusive use of Atlantis by a non-resident, nonprofit group is $920 for an 8-hour time slot, which includes the cost to staff the event. It is recommended to the City Council that the staff get direction on how to proceed. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Motion? Is that a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Call the vote?
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank y'all. Moving on to 3B. This is a request from GGNA for a fee waiver on the Courtyard Center. You're good?
No, if I may, I'm going to have to recuse myself.
Sure,
from
please.
being on the board, so-
Please.
Okay.
For the record, Councilmember Kloppenstein is a member of the board, so she is recusing herself on this item.
Mayor and members of the City Council, before you is a letter from the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, the GGNA, requesting that the City Council waive their policy regarding the weekend use of a city facility to conduct a special fundraising event at the Courtyard Center. The GGNA is a tax-exempt nonprofit that enhances the quality of life of the Garden Grove residents by providing fun, family activities as a way to bridge the gap, building a strong bond between residents and the city. The GGNA is planning a fundraising event with Little Angel Service Dogs to provide a dog for a Garden Grove family who needs the dog to assist their autistic son. The cost of the dog is approximately $26,000. Of that, $12,000 has already been raised to date. At present, the City Council policy allows for sponsorship of city facilities Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. GGNA is requesting that the City Council make an exemption and allow the nonprofit to utilize the Courtyard Center on a Friday or Saturday night based on the availability of the center. The cost to co-sponsor the GGNA fundraiser for exclusive use of the Courtyard Center by a nonprofit group is $740 for a 6-hour time slot, which excludes cost of staff, setup, and security of the event. It is recommended to City Council that they provide the direction to staff regarding how to proceed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Motion?
Move approval to waive the fee.
Second.
Call the vote?
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3C.
For the 3C, for the record, because I'm a members and I'm also a supporter for the CVTAL, so I would like to recuse myself for this one.
Mayor and members of City Council, before you is a letter from the California Varsity Taekwondo Athletic League, CVTAL, requesting a co-sponsorship to waive the nonprofit exclusive use fee for their exhibition event on Sunday, August 20th, 2017, at the Garden Grove Sports Complex. CVTAL is a California-based, tax-exempt nonprofit that utilizes the sport of Taekwondo to strengthen students and encourage their educational goals. Garden Grove children make up a large percentage of the CVTAL's membership, and one of their missions is to get the sport of Taekwondo recognized as an official sport within the high schools. CVTAL is planning an exhibition of its students' members on Sunday, August 20th, 2017. Many of the students do not have the financial ability to pay for the training, with annual dues being $20 per student. It is for this reason that CVTAL is requesting that the City Council waive their fees for Sunday, August 20th rental. The co-sponsorship for the 2017 event for the exclusive use of Garden Grove Sports Complex by the nonprofit group is $520 for an 8-hour time slot, which includes the cost of staff for the event. It is recommended to the City Council that they provide direction to staff regarding how to proceed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Call the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, we'll now recess City Council, and we'll go over to the successor agency. Waiting for it to pop up. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Member Tu-Ha Nguyen.
Here.
Member Klopfenstein.
Here.
Member Kay Nguyen.
Here.
Vice Chair Beard.
Here.
And Chair Jones.
Here. We already did oral communication simultaneously with City Council, so we'll move on to consent calendar. There's 2 items. Recommended both are acted simultaneously unless anyone would like to pull an item. Do I have a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you. We have no other items, so any matters from successor agency members? Seeing none, we will adjourn to sanitary district.
With that, I'll call the sanitation district meeting to order. Would you please call roll?
Member Jones.
Here.
Member Klopfenstein.
Here.
Member Kim Nguyen.
Here.
Member Tu-Ha Nguyen.
Here.
And President Beard.
Here. So we've already covered oral communications. 1 item for consent, that's the minutes from June 27th, 2017. I entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay. Item number 3 is public hearings, which there are none. 4, no items for consideration. Any matters from any members? Seeing none, we'll adjourn to, our next meeting will be August 22nd, 2017. So I guess we're back to the city council.
Thank you. Before we reconvene City Council, we're going to take a short break and go enjoy some cake on behalf of Councilmember Kim Nguyen and Councilmember Tu Ha Nguyen's birthdays. So please join us for some cake in the next room, and then that'll be a very short break, and then we'll come back and finish up our meeting.
Motion to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Awesome. Moving on to item 5, public hearings. We have one public hearing for consideration, which is adoption of a resolution establishing underground utility district number 26 on Magnolia Street.
Someone will be right in to give the staff report.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Pomeroy, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, the council is being asked to conduct a public hearing and, if favorable, adopt a resolution establishing underground utility district number 26 on Magnolia Street from Garden Grove Boulevard to Orangewood. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the council resolution adopted on June 27th of this year regarding the same issue. Council should know that public hearing notices to the affected property owners were mailed on July 11th. The project will use Southern California Edison Rural 20A funding. This funding is for undergrounding purposes and is included in every resident's SCE build. The project will basically consist of removing 42 utility poles on Magnolia and repairing the public improvements that are affected. The existing conduits will be relocated underground in Magnolia, thus improving public safety and health. The estimated cost is almost $6 million. The city has accrued about $3.2 million in Rural 20A funding. The remainder of the cost will be charged against future Rural 20A revenues. This concludes staff's report, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Just a couple questions.
Please.
Related to impact, how long will this take? Any estimate?
When we did a similar project on Brookhurst, they were out there for about, it was about 8 months.
8 months? Okay, and that'll be the impact to that area and the businesses and such?
The real hard work was a lot shorter, but coordinating with the, on every, basically electric pole, there's other conduits for telephone, cable, you name it. And so coordinating with those other utilities and getting them to relocate down can take some time. The main work will be done fairly quickly. Getting the other utilities down is usually what kind of strings it out. So the direct impact will only be felt for probably about 3 months.
I have a question. So are we going to wait until the project of Magnolia and Trash done before we start this one?
This one is at least a year out because they have to design, they have to schedule with the other utilities, and they have to, when the conduits come down, they have to divert power around, and so they have to make sure that they have the ability to do that. So it's quite an undertaking, and it usually is about a year for Edison to get through with all of that design, scheduling, and to make sure everything's in place before they're ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this is a public hearing, so we will actually open a public hearing. I do not have any cards, but is there anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing.
Mayor Jones, I just have to announce that the city clerk's office did not receive any protests.
Thank you. Any further comments or a motion?
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Call to vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you. Moving on to items for consideration, item 6A, and this is consideration of the agreement with Red Flags Traffic, Inc.
Good evening, Mayor, and members of the City Council. The objective of this item is to request City Council. Sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The objective of this item is to request City Council authorization to extend the current photo enforcement agreement with Red Flags Traffic Systems for 4 years. The city's photo enforcement program was initiated in July of 1999 with a trial location at Brookhurst and Westminster. Over the years, the program has expanded to include 8 intersections with 14 approaches. The program has proven to be self-funding, but more importantly, has shown to reduce severe collisions. It's also been proven to be a valuable tool for our law enforcement in identifying faults for collisions occurring at these intersections and lessening the enforcement burden on our police department. The most recent agreement with Red Flags Traffic Systems was executed on July 24th, 2012. The contract was for a 3-year term with 2 one-year extensions. It was extended through August 13, 2017 by execution of the Second Amendment to the agreement. In order to keep this beneficial program in place, the Public Works and Police Department is proposing a 4-year extension. The basic terms of the agreement remain unchanged, except the agreement now includes a $100 per month reduction per approach. This amounts to a $1,100 reduction per month for the photo enforcement program. There is no impact to the general fund. All program operational costs are covered with program revenues. It is recommended that the City Council approve the Third Amendment with Red Flags, extending the existing agreement an additional 4 years, and authorize the city manager to execute the Third Amendment to the professional services agreement with Red Flags Traffic Systems. This concludes staff's report, and we are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from staff?
Termination clause, do we have that?
Yes, there's a 30-day.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments or a motion? I'll just comment that I know our police are very strongly supportive of this program and its positive effect it has on just safety and keeping people safe in these bad intersection accidents that happen. So I realize it's no fun being on the receiving end of one of these tickets, as a lot of our residents have and so forth. But I mean, for the most part, it keeps people safe a lot more than it harms anybody. So I'll be supporting it.
I just want to add to that is, I also look at the statistics, and we do see the reductions of the traffic collision, especially where the T-bone collision, which has caused a major damage and cost life. So I think I support that as well.
I just had a quick question. Seeing as that there was someone who mentioned it during public comment, I'd like to just ask if there's been a lot of individuals who have come forward over the years while this program has been in place to fight, and just, is there a high volume of that, and has there been a high volume of that being reversed or not?
There was a comprehensive study presented to council in October 2015. There was an opposition study which was compared to the city study, and that's shown in the package, the study that was done back in October 2015. And it did show, our study did show an overall reduction in broadside collisions. As to the amount of tickets that are being reversed is, I think our PD can address that a little more accurately than I can. But
Sure, of all the citations that we collect from the Red Flex system, we have about 70% that go for prosecution.
Since there's a handful of us that are new, is it possible for us to get a copy of that report from 2015?
yes.
I do have a quick questions. For the citations, are we go based by, this incident? based on scenarios, or we just, because once the constituent raised an issue where, there's a incident where he's stuck in the middle of the road, and so what's the chances that we have to look at case by case and issue the citations?
Yes, all of the citations are actually witnessed by, or all of the photos, and it's not just photo, but it is video as well, and they are all reviewed by a police officer. And once the review is complete, if it is determined that a violation did take place, then it is sent for prosecution.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Also, may I ask a question?
Please.
Captain, also too, the person that issued the citation, they have an opportunity to review that video as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mhm. And this is not a money revenue generator for the city, it's cost neutral, and that no charges in addition to what the codes specify are a part of this program as well, correct?
That's correct.
We
This
don't
is not
tack
about, this is not about generating revenue. This is about public safety and traffic safety.
And the company doesn't tax on additional fees or services or such, this is part of this contract.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion?
Yeah, I'd like to motion to extend the program another 4 years.
Second.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you. Moving on to 6B. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance to prohibit recreational vehicles from parking on any public or private street without a valid permit.
Hello. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. How are you? It's good to see you guys. At the June 13th, 2017 City Council meeting, the City Council received a presentation from staff on the Traffic Commission's recommendations for regulating the parking of recreational vehicles in the city of Garden Grove, and directed staff to prepare an ordinance prohibiting recreational vehicles from parking on any public or private street in Garden Grove without a valid city-issued permit. Per the City Council's request, staff has prepared an ordinance regulating the parking of recreational vehicles in the city of Garden Grove. This ordinance makes it illegal for any person to park his or her recreational vehicle on any public or private street, alley, or public property without a valid city-issued permit. City residents requiring on-street and/or overnight parking will be able to apply for parking permits at no cost via an automated online permitting system. Per City Council's direction, residents will be able to request up to 12 non-consecutive 72-hour recreational vehicle parking permits for the sole purpose of loading and unloading before and after travel. Residents requiring longer accommodations will also be able to request weekly recreational vehicle parking permits not to exceed 7 days per permit. No more than 6 weekly permits will be allowed per residential address in any calendar year, with at least 1 day in between each of the 6 permits requested. Additionally, in accordance with City Council direction, hookups will not be prohibited. Should the City Council choose to approve this ordinance, the City Manager's Office will be working to finalize an automated permitting system with the IT department to put the program in place. Staff estimates that the permitting system will be fully implemented by the end of September based on available resources. The financial impact to the city includes the cost of creating and administering a permitting program and will be absorbed within the current year's budget. It is also important to note that the ordinance provides the City Council with the option to establish fees to defray the city's costs of issuing permits in the future, should they so choose. That being said, it is recommended that the City Council conduct the first reading of and introduce the attached ordinance prohibiting recreational vehicles from being parked on any public or private street in Garden Grove without a valid city-issued permit. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sean. Questions?
How will residents be notified of this new process?
Of course. So staff has already begun working with community relations as well as with our traffic officers to ensure that we're putting together an educational component. We're going to be working to issue press releases, post materials on our website, utilize social media, and let's see. We're also going to be utilizing water bill inserts, and these are also going to be going out in multiple languages to ensure that the majority of the community is reached.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, one other thing, if I might add. So if the council were to approve this as a first step today, I believe we would need to come back a second reading at the only meeting we have in August, which would be towards the end of August, fourth Tuesday in August. And then if you approve this ordinance at that time, then it would go into effect 30 days after that date. So we're kind of lined up with the end of September, what we're trying to accomplish in that time as well. So that's sort of the time frame we're working in. Thank you. I just want to commend Sean for your work on this and staff in general for their work on this. Our Traffic Commission looked at this. We spent a lot of time reviewing this. And then particularly, two key council members, Councilmember Chris Beard and also John O'Neill, who kind of championed this thing and brought it forward. I think Chris actually championed it, but I credit John O'Neill, who's not with us tonight, but I understand that he did read the staff report and had sort of a separate briefing and had expressed that he's okay with everything in the report as written. And I bring up his name particularly because he's not only a council member, but he's also a resident who's kind of the poster child of how to do this right. He's a river rat, and he's got some cool toys and RVs and trucks and neat stuff like that, and he keeps it all super clean and super tight, and has good relations with his neighbors, even though he's got these things. So I know he reviewed it closely, and I know Chris was actively involved in shaping this as well. So I thank everybody for their hard work on it.
Well, thank you. Just a quick comment. Related to that, I want to thank the residents that came forward and talked to me. And those same residents in John's area, as well as all our areas, probably made similar comments. I got some pretty positive feedback from citizens I talked to about it. And first and foremost, it represents a safety issue. And that's how I presented it, and that's how I see it. We can save one life or prevent one accident, and I think this does that. I think it's consistent with other cities having the same ordinances throughout Orange County. But I'm so pleased that we're taking the step forward. I've had residents, and I walk my dog. I know my neighborhood. I know the district, and this only applies to a very, very small number of people. And the RV operators, RV owners in our city are very responsive and with their vehicles. And this, I think, adds some flexibility for them. They can enjoy their RVs, but the message now will be out that streets are not a parking storage area for RVs, or large vehicles, or boats, or anything of that nature. So I think it's a really positive step forward for our city. It will impact some people. It's a very small number of people, but I want to thank the council for going along with it. I also commend staff for their excellent, thorough work on researching it. And so with that, I'm obviously a proponent of it, and I want to thank John, too. We really clicked when I discussed it with him, but all the other council members were very positive, and citizens, most of all, are very positive on the safety aspects of this ordinance. So thank you all.
Great. Would you?
I'd like to make the motion to approve this ordinance.
Second.
All to vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Mayor, members of the City Council, for the record, earlier in the meeting, you approved introducing ordinances by title only and waiving further readings, so we do need to read the title of the ordinance into the record. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove, adding section 10.56.115 to chapter 10.56 of Title 10 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code relating to recreational vehicle parking restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move right along towards the end of this meeting. We have matters, and we have one matter listed, 7A, which is City Hall Visitor, Employee, and Steelcraft Project Parking Update as requested by City Manager Scott Stiles.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I wanted to, this isn't an item for action by council, but I wanted to just give you an update on where we're at with the Steelcraft project, some of the parking considerations that we have to put into place, and we will be putting into a place before we have our next council meeting. So I thought it'd be good to just give you an update on that, some of the material you have before you. And I'm going to also ask Sean Park, who's done a lot of work on this for me, coordinating parking and issues with all of our departments to give you a brief update on it.
Thanks, City Manager. On June 13, 2017, the City Council approved a lease agreement between the City of Garden Grove and Steelcraft Long Beach for the development of an outdoor urban eatery built primarily out of recycled metal shipping containers. This development will be opening up at the former Black Angus site located behind City Hall, ultimately requiring new parking accommodations for city staff. With the new Steelcraft development coming online, Steelcraft will have complete site control of the parking area and vacant lot behind City Hall. As a result, city staff currently parking behind City Hall will be required to transition to the designated employee parking lot located directly across the street from City Hall beginning August 14, 2017. Several city employees currently park in this lot as it was the parking lot that was traditionally used for city employees when the Black Angus restaurant was operating. In addition, a new visitor parking lot will also be provided in the lot adjacent to the fire department building. In the weeks leading up to August 14th, city staff will be conducting outreach efforts to notify stakeholders in the area. And stakeholders include city staff, Garden Grove High School, Garden Grove Unified School District, Garden Grove Public Library, and Southland Credit Union. In addition, city staff is currently working to prepare the designated employee lot with restriping and additional signage installations taking place during the week of August 7, 2017. All City Hall staff parking at City Hall will be issued parking permits, and that will take place during the week of July 31st, 2017. Financial impact to the city includes the cost of restriping the existing parking lots, ordering new signage, ordering parking permits, and installing temporary fencing as needed. All costs will be covered utilizing Economic Development Fund 106. And as the city manager had mentioned, this is an informational report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I'll make one and just say that I'm super excited about everything that we've got going on in this area, and I think we're going to have some transitional growing pains, and so I kind of apologize in advance that our enthusiasm will lead to some temporary inconvenience for our city staff and otherwise, as we have to all regroup and figure out how to redo this thing. But we will stay on it, and we're going to make this area great, and I just can't wait to see it really blossom and come to life.
I agree, and if there's anything I can do, obviously, all of these places that you mentioned are in my district, so if there's anything I can do to help, or please keep me posted on how these different sites handle this kind of influx of parking and just the new situation in general.
Thanks. With that, any matters from council members?
Well, I just want to extend another happy birthday to our birthday council members. And I want to say, related to the Steelcraft project, my wife and I did our due diligence. We went to the Long Beach site, enjoyed it immensely. We took neighbors, did our review, and if it's going to be that type of establishment and larger, it's going to be great. We noted the parking in the area, so I'm glad we're looking ahead at this parking considerations. I want to bring back a matter related to the fire and fireworks. I think it's good that the city, at least the police, are looking to strategize for next year. I think I'd like to look or talk to the city attorney or see about any kind of increases in fines related to being a general law city. I know there's legal issues with that. I think we should look at all these aspects, look at drones. I've heard there's legislation related to that. That could be a very big issue. But all the ideas brought forward by citizens in regards to illegal fireworks, I think we're open, or we should be open to reviewing all those, and I think we will. I think our fire and police do an excellent job of enforcing with the resources they have. But driving down the freeway on the 4th of July is not a Garden Grove problem, obviously. It's going off everywhere. So it's a regional issue, and I think fireworks coming in from other states that are legal makes it even more difficult. But what I like seeing being done is the police looking at the areas related to just the excessive celebration, if you want to call it that. Safety comes first with everything related to the 4th of July. It's great to celebrate, but do it responsibly, and I think we're taking that into consideration. So with that, I just want to make a comment. I want to be more involved with any potential enforcement or anything we can do as a city to help fight illegal fireworks in the city. With that, hopefully down the road, we are receiving some statistical reports on animal care services. Maybe at a later council meeting, we can discuss performance review of vendors and such. That's on the minds of a lot of citizens. I'm an avid animal lover, so that's a personal of interest to me, how we're doing, how they are performing for our citizens. So hopefully in August or soon, we can look at that in more detail. And decide, besides the numbers, the quality of care being given, and any issues that may come up related to that. So with that, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Birthday Girl?
Thank you for the birthday wish. It's a little early, but I take it. Happy birthday to Councilmember Kim. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Other birthday girl?
So I wanted to invite the community to a free, fun, special event happening in District 6 on Wednesday, August 23rd at the Elks Lodge in Garden Grove, starting at 6:30 p.m. It's the last concert of the summer concert series, which is hosted each year by the Garden Grove Community Foundation. I'm really excited that the band Soto will be playing and closing out another great concert series. Some of you may have heard Soto at the city's 60th anniversary party we held in June last year. It was a great time, and they played in Garden Grove, and it was a great show. They're returning to close out the concert series. They are a high-energy Latin funk and R&B band known to get all ages dancing. The Elks Lodge is going to be selling food and drinks, and there will be fun stuff for kids to do as well. Soto is going to be a really entertaining concert, so join me at the Elks Lodge on Wednesday, August 23rd at 6:30 p.m., and I'll see everyone on the dance floor. And another matter that I'd like to bring up is I've had a couple of residents come and discuss some of their concerns on Roxy and Trask regarding speeding happening late at night and concerns with safety for students crossing the street. I know there's a group of students at Santiago High School that are looking to work with the city and join discussions regarding potentially having a light put into that street. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it in matters, just if there's other residents who have this similar concern, please feel free to reach out to myself or to staff to discuss the issue further. And happy early birthday too, huh?
Stephanie?
Happy birthday, Councilmember Nguyen and Councilmember Nguyen. And as your now for more serious matters. As your trustee for the Vector Control District, I want to remind everyone that a mosquito or several mosquitoes were found to test positive for West Nile virus in Garden Grove. So obviously that's extremely serious, and I want to remind everyone to take precautions on their properties and at their homes, fixing your screens, dumping and draining standing water. Obviously, if you're out in the morning walking or in the evenings, wear long sleeves or put on bug repellent of some sort. The district comes out to my home since, I think it's been since May, and they set a trap every month. And with those traps, there hasn't been more than 50, 60 mosquitoes caught, and none of them have tested positive for West Nile virus. So I think why I'm mentioning that is just to say that my family's due diligence of dumping and draining and just kind of overseeing our property, making sure nothing's, I think it's working, and it's something that everybody should please do to keep all of us safe in the community as we finish out the summer months.
Thank you. I have a couple things. Are Jeff Davis and Marie Moran watching on somewhere? Can we drag them out here? I'm sure they're paying attention to the video, so they hear me right now wherever they're at.
Come on now.
Yeah, they have to climb down the stairs.
Do they know this is going down? Okay.
There they go. Jeff even wore a tie.
Thanks, guys, for coming down. So I would like to congratulate the city's own Garden Grove TV3 for winning their first Emmy Award last month at the 43rd Annual Pacific Southwest Emmy Awards in San Diego. GGTV3 is part of the city's Office of Community Relations and is led by Jeff Davis and Marie Moran, the only full-time senior staff. They produce a number of videos, news stories, and public service announcements, as well as live broadcasts of all the city council meetings. GGTV3 took home their first Emmy Award in the informational and instructional category for its video production, District Elections in Garden Grove. You guys remember that one? We should really get some of the credit. GGTV3, the video was produced last year to explain the city's new voting district map and elections. For the past 4 years, GGTV3 has received 5 Emmy nominations by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Pacific Southwest chapter for their recognized quality of work in video production. In May, they also received first place in overall excellence at the 21st Annual Star Awards presented by the National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors at Disney's Grand California Hotel in Anaheim. The team also won first place for its video productions, Garden Grove Animal Care Services, and Garden Grove Placemaking. Lastly, GGTV3's YouTube channel hit a milestone 3 million viewers earlier this month. This city could not be more proud of their accomplishments. Congratulations, Jeff and Marie.
That is cool.
Who gets those? My God, that's impressive.
Yeah, you do.
Three, two, and one. Then we get one more. And we're good. Thank you.
Could we bug you guys to say a few words?
Yeah.
I just want to say we're humbled and honored to receive this, especially we feel on behalf of the city, for a city project. And it was a joy to put together the video that explained the districts. It was kind of a complicated thing, and we wanted the people to understand it as well as possible, and also take the opportunity to go out and have their input as to where the lines would be drawn and stuff like that. So the video, part of the video is to urge the people to go out and have their chance to say something about it. I'd just like to thank Marie, because she's amazing, and also Anna Polito, our supervisor, Kim Hoy, our director, and everybody at the city who supports us. We really appreciate the support, and we wish there's more of us to go around. We wish we could cover more things and do more videos for more departments, but we're excited about this, and thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. We love working for the city and having, getting the message out to the community of whatever that might be. So we have unconditional support from our director, Kim Hoy, and our supervisor, Anna Polito. So we just thank you all for allowing us to, do what we do for the city.
I just want to say that since we were all in the video, we all feel really embarrassed and think it's terrible because we're just looking at ourselves and we think it was goofy. But we all got dragged in rooms. We had to do these parts separately, and we had no idea how the thing was all going to come together. And you guys sort of magically crafted it all into a coherent video that made us look good and made the city look fun and together, and explained the difficult concept, like you said, of districts and what we were going through in a way that just showed what has become a very cohesive and fun and positive council to work with. And you guys sort of captured all that before we really even started having any meetings or coming together. So we appreciate all your amazing work on pulling that all together. And And congratulations on the award. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, and so as a city manager, I want to personally congratulate both of you on winning this really a serious honor. And, I think I tweeted out and I said something to the effect, who wins an Emmy in local government? It just doesn't happen. And all of you have worked with them on things that they've done. When I came here, I've done a 3 or 4 different videos, I think, with them. And it was amazing to me the attention to detail they put into their craft and what they're trying to do. And when they were first doing it, I was like, hold it, this is way over the top. We don't need this much. But it really, the work that they put into it really shows the quality of what we do and what they're all about. So, again, I just want to congratulate the two of you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll ask, does the city manager have any comments to make? We're on matters.
Mr. Mayor, Council, just a couple quick comments. Councilman Beard, we are on the animal care stuff, finishing up a report. We'll be getting that out very shortly. A couple things on Saturday afternoon that I participated in I thought it'd be worth mentioning. The Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce got together and they spent an entire afternoon strategizing and working together about how they can really continue to support our local businesses here in the community. I think it was a good session for them, figuring out how, just as we have our retreat, they had theirs to talk about strategies, things that they can do better, how they can support our community. So it was really a nice a bit of time that they spent together. And I also, at Councilmember Tuha Wynn's suggestion, I went over and presented a certificate to Thomas Lee, who's got, again, I didn't know, I'm always surprised by things I found out, an indoor swimming pool on Kenny Avenue, over by the Brookhurst Triangle area over there next to the Ramada Inn, and met with Mr. Lee. He's a 30-year business owner in the city, teaching kids how to swim and teaching life skills. So it was nice to stop by there too. So congratulations to him.
Thank you. And I would just like to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Margaret Butterfield, a longtime Garden Grove resident and retired Garden Grove elementary school teacher who recently passed away. Margaret started teaching under her maiden name, Miss Bird, over 50 years ago before she married Don Butterfield, a former Garden Grove city planner. Margaret Butterfield will be missed by all who knew and loved her, and we'll close tonight's meeting in her honor. Thank you.
Mayor, we do have one more closed session item to adjourn to.
Yep, okay. We'll adjourn to closed session and we'll come and report back out as necessary. Got it.